Hi David, thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about National Apprenticeship Week, but also sort of get to know you a little bit. So I guess first of all, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do here at Electrical Safety First?
Thanks, Eilish. So my name's David Powell, and I'm an electrical installation safety engineer at Electrical Safety First. So my role is varied. Every day is different. I could be working on a best practice guide, I could be in one of our working groups, and I could be on a committee called JPAL as well, which decide what goes into the regulations in the UK. So yeah, really varied role.
Cool. And what kind of inspired you to start your career into electrical engineering and being an electrician?
This is a funny story actually, because I was one of those people at school that didn't really know what they wanted to do, I'll be honest with you. A lot of my friends, they knew they wanted to go to sixth form, go to uni, armed forces and things like that, and I always felt like the odd one out because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then it was actually my mum that found an apprenticeship opportunity in the local newspaper back then, and she said, why don't you go for this? It sounds good, electrical apprenticeship. It was at the Midlands Electricity Board, which is now known as National Grid. And I just thought, you know what, why not? I'll give it a go and see what it's about. And then after sort of multiple different tests, I had to do like a psychometric test, a practical test, interviews. I was selected as an apprentice for that year, and each depot took on 2 apprentices, so it was myself and another guy that were taken on that year. But yeah, it was never anything that I sort of thought, yeah, I definitely want to be an electrician. And then 26 years later, I'm still in industry, so yeah, it must be pretty good.
Yeah. And how did your experience as an electrician, so this is kind of getting straight in there, but how did your experience as an electrician sort of shape your understanding of electrical safety? So perhaps before you were an apprentice, you might not have considered anything to do with electrical safety, and then as you sort of, so how has that changed your perspective and sort of your understanding of electrical safety?
Changed massively, and from day one as an apprentice, the guy who I was put with initially just drummed into me day one the importance of working safely, not working live, double checking absolutely everything, making sure that everything's done correctly. And that's something that I've took with me, so all throughout my career, everything I've always double checked, triple checked. We're working with something that's got the potential to not just harm the person working on it, i.e. me or the person I'm working with, but the people within the building. So you've really got to be careful with electricity. I can count the amount of shocks that I've had in the 20 odd years on one hand, fortunately, and I'm still here to tell the tale. And basically, if the people watching, eventually, if you have received a shock, ultimately you've done something wrong, and it shouldn't happen. And think about that scenario and make sure it's sort of not done again. And one of the main sort of mottos that I've already had is do it once and do it right. So take pride in what you do and make sure it's done properly, and don't cut any corners and things like that, because you're putting people at risk. Electricity is very dangerous.
Yeah. And what moving on to the next question, what motivated you to sort of transition from being an electrician to then teaching in further education in colleges? I don't think we mentioned that, but yeah, I'll let you speak about that. So what kind of made you transition?
Yeah, it's a good question. And when I was in industry, I always sort of found people were put with me that were either an apprentice or less experienced, and I used to really enjoy sort of teaching them new things, showing them new techniques. It might be teaching them how to make off an armoured cable, it might be talking to them about test procedures, ZS values, whatever. And when looking back in my sort of early days in the career, sometimes you would just put with someone and they didn't really want you there, and you were just, you were just a bit of an inconvenience. And I never wanted people to feel like that when they were put with me. I wanted them to make them feel comfortable. Yeah, I couldn't teach them stuff all the time. We had a job to do, but where I did have a bit of time, I'd sort of try and help them with things and stuff like that. And I found that really, really rewarding, to passing my sort of skills and knowledge on to others. And then when I set my own business up, I employed my own apprentice. And then seeing him go from an apprentice from day one to going through his apprenticeship and becoming an approved electrician with his gold card, and he won Apprentice of the Year at Burton College and everything.
Wow,
and that was the cherry on the cake for me. It really was. And now he's doing really, really well. He works on HV, which is high voltage, and he's better than me now. So there you go. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of him as well. In that sense, I am, and I just think that's brilliant. That's some real good positive outcome.
For sure. Yeah. But why do you think apprenticeships are or can be a great pathway for young people, maybe considering a career in this industry and the electrical industry?
Apprenticeships as a whole, they offer you obviously hands-on experience in a trade. Ultimately, you're getting paid while you're learning, which is obviously a really good mix. It's not like other things that you might do where you're going to have to supplement your learning at, say, university with a part-time job and things like that. And the electrical industry as a whole, as my mum said, you'll never be out of work, which is, I can vouch for that, is true. You never get replaced by a robot, shall we say, because AI is taking over. And that's something that I used to say to prospective learners at the colleges. It's something that I've always done. I've never been out of work. And it's something that you can take pride in. You can do something. You might do something and look back at it and think, I've done all that. How good does that look? It might be quite a complex job in an industrial installation and things like that. And it's hands-on. Some of it's a bit mechanical as well as electrical, and some of it can get quite sort of sciencey at times with your test readings and things, and you can go into all different pockets of sort of electrical work. So it might be you go into electrical design, and you're more office based after your apprenticeship. It might be your installation, so you really love the hands-on side of things. It might be that you go into a supervisory role or inspection and testing or maintenance. So there's so many different avenues you can explore, and once you've got that core apprenticeship, you can pretty much go anywhere with it into any part of the industry. Plus there's opportunity, there might be job opportunities in countries like Australia and New Zealand and things like that work on similar systems to us in the UK. So it's just opportunity central, really, for people on apprenticeships. And electrical apprenticeships is obviously the best choice, because I'm biased.
Yeah, of course. And I guess, like you said, it's sort of finding your area that you really enjoy. And I guess that's also just in general, electrical engineering and engineering in general, actually, it's very broad. So finding your area is very important, like you said.
So, as you go through an apprenticeship and do different sort of working in different environments, different roles, you'll probably find your feet. It won't be straight away. It might be towards the end of your apprenticeship and you think, I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed doing the industrial side, the ladder rack, the cable tray, things like that. Some people might prefer the domestic part of things, new build sites and things like that, but you'll find everyone's different, aren't they? So eventually, once you've gone through that period of your apprenticeship, you'll sort of find an area that you think, I'm really good at that. I'm gonna go into that side. I'm really, and you'll just find your feet that way. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone starting an apprenticeship, or perhaps they're not 100% sure on whether they want to start an apprenticeship in the industry, in your industry?
Well,
What advice?
hands up, I'm on the latter of that question there, so I wasn't 100%, as we've already spoken about. So, yeah, some people, they might have family members that are electricians and they feel, I really want to do this. And others might be in the same boat that I was and wasn't sure. You're not going to know until you give it a try, ultimately. You know, even the people that think they really want to be electricians, it might not. You might not follow that path eventually, but one thing I will say is a very enjoyable work to do. You're sort of manipulating electricity in some ways, aren't you? So we're taking something that can be quite volatile and dangerous, and we're making it do things. We're creating light. We're making things work with power. We're making motors move. You know, we're taking something that's, you know, not necessarily an element like fire and water, but we're doing things with it. We can make it do what we want it to do, and I think that's the real interesting part. The advice that I give for people on an apprenticeship, though, and this is something that I think I needed to hear at the time when I was young, is don't be too hard on yourself if you make a mistake. An apprenticeship is all about making mistakes. No one is perfect. Even the people that have been doing it a long time are going to make mistakes. We eventually maybe become a little bit complacent. And just don't beat yourself up too much if you do make mistakes. Next time you get to that stage, you'll probably think, I remember this last time I didn't check this, or I didn't do that, or I didn't, you know, and you'll probably remember. And as you go through, that's what an apprenticeship is about. No one goes through an apprenticeship not making mistakes. That's not how it works. We all do things that do something wrong, or cut a cable too short or something like that. So just sort of roll with it, take it on board, and you can look back at it in your time after, and just, it's all about experience, and you can draw on that experience in future, and it will be all those mistakes that you made at the time that you thought, oh no, I've messed up. As you pull them through, you can look back on it, and it's a really useful sort of tool for you in your future career. So yeah, just don't be too worried if you make mistakes.
What was your most, you've kind of already touched on some parts of it being rewarding, but what was your most rewarding part of sort of mentoring young people in the industry? And is there a specific story you might have?
Do you know, there's too many to mention in some ways. A few of the highlights would probably be where, for part of my sort of cert ed, my teaching degree, what I did is I got one of my higher level groups, a level 3 group, to teach a sort of level 2, level 1 group in the workshop. So it was sort of part of a planned exercise, and obviously I spoke with my learners first, made sure they were comfortable with what they're doing. What would you be comfortable in showing someone how to do? Well, I prefer working with armoured cables, or I prefer doing this or doing that. And what I did is we arranged a bit of a workshop session, and I was so proud to see people that I'd had for a couple of years pass that knowledge on to new people coming into the industry as what we call full-time learners, so people that haven't got apprenticeships but are interested in getting into apprenticeships, and seeing those learners pick up their skills that I'd taught them in the workshop to show others. It was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. And then other things, I used to look after apprentices. I had an apprenticeship group from day one, and seeing them from year one, and a few people drop out, and then you've got this core of people that you can see grow as people and electricians, and the skills and the confidence and just themselves as people, and get through the apprenticeship. And funnily enough, I had a message, someone had tracked me down on Facebook, and they sent me a message to say, just got my gold card, can't thank you enough for all your time at the college, it was great. And I just thought, how brilliant is that? Someone's gone to the effort of trying to find me and say how they've got on and what they're doing now, and that's just brilliant for me. I used to get more when my learners passed an exam. I used to get more hyped up and happy about it than they did. Because all that work that we put in over a period of months and time, and then I put them in for an exam and they'd come out and I'd have the pleasure of giving them their results after. It used to be, it was like scoring a goal at the FA Cup final for me. It was brilliant, and it was really rewarding work. So that could be an avenue for some people. You know, the sky's the limit, going in to teach others in further education as well. I never thought I'd do that role, but eventually through training people on site, things as we spoke about earlier, sort of ignited that sort of spark, and I thought, maybe I could do this for a part of my career. So could go into teaching as well.
I mean, those stories sound like, when you kind of saw your students and that rewarding part, those stories sort of sound like it almost reminded you why you started this and why you're doing it, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, talking about it now, the hairs are up on my arms and things.
Yeah.
It's just, it's meaningful. It's meaningful. It wasn't a laborious thing, and seeing stuff like that really sort of, it's a really positive thing to witness. So How do you think the electrical industry has sort of evolved since you joined? So as an apprentice, I guess, and then sort of throughout your career, how do you think that's changed? And I guess, what do you think it will be like in, say, 10, 20 years' time? There's two questions technically there. It's a great question, and it's come on so much in the time when I started. So my apprenticeship was October 1999. That's when I started. So it was a long time ago, and it's come on a lot. It's evolved a lot. The regulations have changed, standards have changed, new products that come in all the time, and that's what keeps our industry interesting, because it's constantly evolving. It doesn't just stay stagnant, and you have to learn new things and new skills. We've got, when I started, it was your sort of standard systems, lighting, power and things like that, and now we've got our systems, renewable energy, solar PV, wind, we've got battery storage, we've got electric vehicles, and it's like your learning sort of never stops. You finish your apprenticeship, but that's only just part of the puzzle. You're constantly learning, and I'm one of those people that loves to learn new things and loves to gain new qualifications. And if you're of a similar vein watching, you're going to love it, because you can learn so much and do so much. And it's just, we're in the electrified sort of world, aren't we, at the moment? It's quite exciting to be part of it all, and it's quite exciting to see what the future will hold, and hopefully we can have sort of sustainable homes where we're all generating our own power and storing it and generating our own heating and things like that. So the sky's the limit, really, and it's a really exciting time to be in the electrical industry. And you could be purely doing renewables, you could be a renewables expert, you could have your own company doing that type of thing. There's so many opportunities, really is.
Okay, that's all the questions. So I just wanted to thank you, David, for joining us and talking about National Apprenticeship Week and sort of your experience and your journey as a former electrician and now working at Electrical Safety First. So thank you very much for the conversation.
So I enjoyed actually going through that and sort of revisiting my career. So, thanks very much.